everybody. Welcome. We're really glad you all took time to come today. We're going to be starting in just a few minutes, so if you want to pick your seat of preference, thank you. Please keep visiting. It's all good. Hello. It looks like we're going to have a full house. If everybody could just move to the center and allow some seating on that outside. I know you don't want to sit too close to your neighbor, but we're going to just have to suck it up. Good afternoon, everybody. This meeting was set to start for 2 p.m. And I know your time is really, really valuable. So if we could get everybody to take a seat, we would like to get started. My name is Sherry Bowen. I'm the Public Health Administrator here in Mills County. This is my 39th year at Public Health. I'm acting as the Public Information Officer for this incident. I just want to welcome you here. I know that a large number of you who live in Pacific Junction, who live on that west side of our county, have been devastated, and our hearts are with you. And I'm glad that you all took time to come today, hoping we can get you the information that you need. I'd like to start this off by introducing, here's the agenda for the day. We're going to have some speakers who hopefully will give you some information. We're going to be as brief as we can because we want to get as many folks in as possible. And at the end, we're going to have a couple of roving mics. Our presenters are going to stay put, and we want you to have an opportunity to ask questions about the things that are important to you. Okay? So if you can try to take notes of your questions as you go. If you're like me, run out of ways to remember. But do your best to hold those questions till the end, and we will stay till all of them are answered. Okay? First, I'd like to introduce Larry Hurst. He's the Emergency Manager for Mills County Public Health and is the Director of the Emergency Operations Center, according to Iowa law. He's the guy in charge. So this is Larry.
You don't need it. You want me to do it?
Whatever you want to do. In there or hold it.
Okay, listen, this is not the circumstances. I wanted all you here to be here. If we think back to 2011, it was a preparatory thing. You know, worst case scenario, that some of it happened, some of it didn't over a span of 6-7 months, as we all remember that. Today, this was a speed of onset that was caused by a cascade of things, from aggressive snow melt, the heavy rains, to drainage up and down the river, to the Platte River and ice, and the Corps of Engineers increased releases consistently. So if you want to say this, and I'm a native here, I don't recollect something like this ever happening like this. Our height of water at the Plattsmouth gauge is historic. 2011 was historic. We're now set the new bar higher, and again, that's the bad side of it. You know, we had to evacuate, as Sherry said, most of the Lost Hills. Eventually, over 3 evacuations, we ended up evacuating all the way to Pot County, Fremont County, and most of the Lost Hills to the river. Some of you that live in those areas where you had, wait, I got road access, and or I can get there, that was probably true. We tried to take that in consideration, but the water was, once the levees started to fail in several areas, we were trying to track the water. And some of these failures happened in the middle of the night. So our levee districts and drainage district people were watching this as close as they can, communicating with my Emergency Operations Center, and there were some dark nights and uncertainty out there whether we were going to get trapped in the flowing water. What we were concerned about with you, the public and business sector, is that you would be asleep in your bed and we couldn't get you out soon enough. And that was our concern. So we had to go through this progressive decision-making by elected officials based on advice of my agency to make these hard decisions. So it was for your benefit, and I know almost all of you understand that, but we are all stressed. We don't understand a lot. We have family. We've been displaced, and Sherry's going to talk about this some more, but that was the onset of the flood. Since then, we have done some reentries. We're going to be showing you some video, and my EM specialist here will be coming on after me to show us a little bit what you've been seeing on our Mills County Emergency Management Facebook page. That's basically went global almost. And I know other people have been posting videos of drones that you've been seeing. Some people, though, don't have access to technology, so we got to figure out another way to get it to you. So when you leave today, there's going to be some pictures out on the walls when you leave, hopefully, if I can get some volunteers. And we're going to have them on the wall that you can, as you leave, you can take a look at those and see some of the still photography that you may not have seen. There may be some of your homes in some of those pictures that we've captured. There may not be. What I can tell you is deep water. Pacific Junction roofs are higher. What was projected by the Corps and the inundation maps back in 2011, if we did have a breach, full breach on the M&P levee, it came to fact. because they predicted 8 to 12 feet in Pacific Junction, 6 to 9 feet in the Glenwood Water Department, and guess what? That's what happened. So, PJ, you held your own. You had a berm, right? You had pumps, but it overwhelmed us, and we had to evacuate as soon as possible. And of course, I worked closely with the mayor on that. He had to take consideration his constituents and things, but we had to get you out of there, and that was a decision one evening. So we had to get you to safety. So Sherry and her people and all these task force people are helping in the county. They all have their jobs. And a lot of you are sitting here today in the audience. They're working for the problems and getting solutions, whether it be temporary or permanent, for all the citizens that are affected by this flood. We have had some reentries north of Alice Road. That was one of the first ones I believe we opened up, correct me, and it was up in Alice Road up to the county line. We did open that up. And 195th that comes down from the south of Bungie, there was people accessing that at that time. The second one that we opened up was down to the Lost Hills. It was in the Kesterson Road area and over Levi Road area, heading south to Norris. Some of the people live down there. The water started coming off of that. County roads bladed, got the debris off the road. The engineer okayed to open that. We opened that. We have 2 more openings here, and one that just got signed at 12 noon today. 195th Street, north off 34, the water's off of it. The county engineer has cleared the road, and we told him to remove the signs. So 195th all the way up to Bungie is going to be opened. All the residents on the east and west side that have 195th Street addresses are allowed back in. Now, there are some people on the 195th west side, they're away, they're still in water. We'd like to keep those people out of that deep water if possible, but if you have a 195th Street address, you are allowed back in as of 12 noon today. So we're going to get that out to the media, the press, the radio, Sherry will, and hopefully get that out to all those residents that we can, that they're allowed to go back in, but with caution. There's still some water in the area. The other place we're opening up today that happened at 12 noon, where Norris is south and the Kesterson and Norris come together, there's Painter Road along the Lost Hills. We're opening up Painter Road down to Paddock right now. You look west off of Paddock, we still have deep water. I mean, that's common sense, deep water, but we have some housing and residents down there, both on the Lost Hills side and to the west. We want to get that open. That was bladed a few days ago, and I drove down there. We can get a little bit further down there, but then we get in trouble with level B, and we think we might have lost some road infrastructure down there. We don't know yet till the water gets off of it. I know the water is coming off. You know the water's coming off from social media, and people are flying drones probably. We are keeping an eye on it for you. We'll make every effort to get you back in your homes as soon as possible. Now, for the citizens of Pacific Junction and those that are living close to Pacific Junction from the southwest prevailing to the northeast, we detected yesterday an anhydrous ammonia leak. DNR was out with boats. We tried to deploy a boat to get some video, to check out some information. I'm telling you this, we were questioning whether we wanted to alarm people, but we have an anhydrous ammonia leak. We have some tanks still down there that have capacity in them, and we're getting a task force down here from Council's hazmat team. They're going to go out in a skiff, suited. They're going to try and source. We think we know 2 locations it's coming from and see if they can't mitigate it. Now, you know, if it's a small tank, which there's a few we found down there, they will bleed out eventually. But we have a problem with weather right now. The weather is holding it tight. I need warm weather and prevailing winds. And then we can dissipate it, and then the tank, whatever tank or tanks that this is coming from, we can get it cleared out, and then that problem's going away. Right now, I can't even put a DNR boat down there. So for the youths that are trying to get to your animals, and we have 2 groups that actually going to want to try and help do that, I can't safely let them in, let alone the fire departments or law enforcement. Why? Anhydrous ammonia. You know, if you don't know what that'll do to you, that'll kill you. So that's what's going on right now and why we can't. In Pacific Junction, it's some of the video you've seen, you still have deep water, really deep water. When we do a reentry plan, which we have a draft plan from the sheriff right now, he'll review that plan. And then we'll have a separate meeting to clarify the plan for reentry at Pacific Junction. And then we're going to start, when we get close to where we're reentry, we'll start disseminating that. It will be a controlled entry, I'm going to tell you right now. You will be going to a central location to acquire a colored card or a credential that will know who you are. So we need to know who goes in and when you come out in the evening, so we don't leave anybody behind. This happens in all disasters, tornadoes, flooding, so we have to count for people. We have to count for first responders to make sure they're safe when they come out, and it also allows proper security. So we're working those solutions. There'll be more information coming out on that, so we want to get ahead of it. But right now, we have a lot to do before we get to reentry Pacific Junction. The rest of the unincorporated area, as we get our infrastructure back and it's safe to do so, the county engineer and his team will be advising the Emergency Operations Center along with law enforcement, and will advise the elected officials, and we're going to try and systematically try and get the unincorporated back to your homes. We got to get the water off the roads first and get them clean and safe and evaluated, and to get you to your homes. Before you can enter your homes, I'm going to use Pacific Junction, for example, is that the state, I've tasked them to send some inspectors down, architectural people that are registered with the state. They volunteer their time. They're going to be entering these areas to ensure the homes are structurally sound. You will not be allowed into the area until we make sure the homes are structurally sound for entry, and then there'll be a placarding thing done on each property. We do have resources that have been offered to us. We're going to be talking to him here in the next week, this next week, with Sherry Bowen, about a team that can come in, or several teams that they help people clean up. And so we're looking at all kinds of resources to help anybody to get back into their homes, if at all possible. Now, we know there's other state and federal resources that are coming. We did get a declaration for presidential yesterday from the president for individual assistance, which affects you, the homeowners, and public assistance, which affects schools, infrastructures, levee districts, drainage districts, and other eligible applicants. SBA, I think, is going to talk today, and I think that got turned on also for the small SBA loans, which this individual is going to explain that concept to you also. And I got an individual who's going to come up and talk to you. Sherry's going to have him come up and talk to you about the IA, individual assistant, PA, public assistance philosophy. Let's see, what else? Anything else, Travis? The sheriff is controlling with his law enforcement, is controlling this. And he's going to speak here in a second too, and he'll kind of explain what's going on with him. Do we want to go right to the videos? Okay.
Hello, my name is Travis Hitchcock. I work for Larry here. I'm the EM specialist. I've been here for about 3 years. I'm going to go over how this initially started, and then I'm going to go into and show you some videos, okay? So we are looking south of Old 34 here along 195th, and it was first observed that we had water overtopping the levee system between Wrist, Paddock, and all the way up to Nims Road here. So that water, as it overtopped, you can see it hit Interstate 29 as it comes south, and then it moved and it hit the hills. Now the water began to flow south, but it wasn't fast enough. It couldn't get out of the area fast enough, which is why that water started to push north and fill in up towards the 215th, up here towards, what are we at, Mar here in Lambert. At that point in time, we began to see the overtopping and sloughing of the levee system, which we'll show you that video, and that was right south of the new 34 bridge. So when that full failure and that breach happened and all the water started to push east towards I-29, all that pressure all that water that was filling in south of Old 34 and pushing up north, it allowed that water to vacate the area. I will show you this video here, and this is going to be just south of that Highway 34 bridge. And this is going to be Friday the 15th. And as you can see, this is all the overtopping that was initially occurring before the sloughing began to occur. So now we're getting up to these areas right here where you can see the sloughing just start. We'll go into this next video here. So as you can see right here at the base, we are on the dry side of the levee. These are the boils coming up underneath. Run into the next one. So this is looking south along 195th. You are just south of Old 34 in Lambert right there, headed towards Plattsmouth. So again, as the levee's full breach north, it was allowing everything south of the Plattsmouth Bridge for that water level to drop on the river, which was allowing this water to start to push south because that pressure wasn't there anymore. As you can see, all the way from the west side to the east side up on the lowest hills there, it's nothing but water. You're going to start to look back towards I-29 there to the southeast. Again, this is later on in the afternoon. It's just the overtopping is increasing through this area. You are still south of that Highway 34 bridge, headed towards the Nebraska side. It was only a matter of time for the full failures to occur with the sloughing, this amount of water coming over. Move on here. Okay, so now this would be Saturday. And as you can see, the water on the Missouri has dropped, but that is because of what we're going to see here. You have all of this water coming into the county now because of our full failures on the levee system. And as you can see, as that water continues to enter into the county here and it's swirling like that, it's just further eroding the levee system on the north side, the south side, and then the second section that it'll move to here. Where the two river systems meet between the Platte and the Missouri, we were over 320,000 cubic feet per second on those two systems right there, which is absolutely telling on the levee system. It could only hold that pressure for so long until it just started to overtop and then eventually give way. So everything south of here, where that Plattsmouth gauge is at, we saw a sudden drop. And that is absolutely telling with all this water coming directly into the county. Now, this is what pushed right towards I-29 and hit that that interstate system, the elevation that it was built on. Some of it pushed north because it just couldn't go anywhere else, and some of it pushed south before it hit Cade Creek and started to backfill along Pony Creek into the Pacific Junction area. Let's see if I can. Again, this is the same picture. It just shows the water coming into the area. This piece in the middle has now become smaller just due to the erosion from the water. I think we have just a couple more here. Okay, so you are at Highway 34 and the I-29 intersection here. Love's is going to be just to the north, right on your right here. And we are going to be flying directly west along 34. As you can see again, looking west, looking back towards the south and the north, you just got water. Now, this water in this area was initially being held by the Cade Creek system to the south. That elevation there wasn't allowing this water to get out of the area. But in the last couple days, we've begun to see the water start to move south, and that is because of a partial failure down there on the Cade Creek system, which is allowing this water to push back into the Missouri River down there. So we are seeing this recede. I can show you this last one here. And this is the city of Pacific Junction. This would have been the 20th. So you are looking west. Kane is right here. You have the Glenwood Water Treatment Facility and the DOT shed right here on your right. And again, these areas that look like higher elevation, that is not grass. That is debris that is floating on top of the water. You can see I-29 just up here in the rail crossing as it runs west.
What day was this?
This would have been the 20th, I believe, right around 10 a.m. Now you can see the water on the other side of the Pony Creek system here. Right east of I-29. Larry? Oh, Sherry?
Okay, we done?
Yes.
Thank you, Travis. I'd like to have Representative David Seek step up. He is torn between two flood-related meetings, one here and one in Fremont County, both at the same time. So he'd like to briefly share a few things with you.
Okay, first of all, my heart and prayers go out to every one of you in this room, to your families, to your friends. I've lived here my entire life. I've never seen anything like this. I talked to the governor this morning. I want to relay to you that she's working weekends, nights, and days to figure this out, talking to the president, talking to the vice president, trying to get us all the resources. I know that she pushed the local officials really hard to get their disaster declarations in. She's been down here with her team. I think we have another team coming tomorrow. We talked about it, and now that certain areas are starting to dry out, they're coming in. So my job is to be your conduit, and if from the state on up I can help, everyone up here knows how to get a hold of me. I have my cell phone number. Everybody has access to that. I've given it to anybody that's wanted it. So that's my job, and to try to smooth off the rough edges wherever I can. I've worked with everybody since this started, from Hamburg clear up to here. I'm going to go down to a meeting in Fremont County. I do have senatorial staff here with me, Donna Berry from Senator Grassley's office. She needs to get down to that meeting too. There's not a lot in this large a crowd that I can solve individual problems or things that can't get done, but these guys know how to get me. Sherry, Richard, everybody knows how to get me. Carol, Lonnie, these guys all talk to me all the time. Larry. So all of them know how to get in hold of me, and that is what I've been doing, is running issues to ground. So I'll be here tomorrow. I may have to go to the Capitol Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm trying to get out of it, but I do have to vote too. So that's what I can tell you right now, and we are here to try to help and get this water off of you and to move as fast as we can. My only fear is you'll probably hear there's more water up there. I looked 2 weeks ago, and the snow equivalent in Minnesota and in eastern South Dakota is huge. And it's just, this was the perfect storm, as Larry said. So I don't know what else I can do in this setting, but I want any of you to reach out to me. I've talked to a lot of you and already heard, what's happened to you and how bad it is, and I've been trying to help. And if there's something I can do from the state, I do that, and the governor pushes up to the federal government. So we're here for you. I know I talked to the governor this morning that she's all in. She's told me that several times. I've even been with her in a meeting with the Corps of Engineers. And so that's about what I can say right now. I would love to stay and answer questions, but if these guys will write the questions down or give you my number, I'll leave a couple cards up here with my number on it. I've given some cards to the front door. They have my number on it too. You can reach out to them. So we will fix anything we can fix and try to make everything as easy as we can. You have a huge community effort from Hamburg up here. I have people reaching out to me from all over the country wanting to help, people wanting to send money in here and things. This gymnasium's full. The gymnasium in Hamburg's full, and more people keep wanting to send things. And at a point, the resources that are coming are overwhelming everybody. So you guys need to take some home anyway. And that's, I'm not going to take up a lot of your time because you got a lot of people here that got a lot more information about help. But I'm the one to solve the problems if they're not getting solved. Okay? So reach out to me anytime.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Yep. And I just want to say one more thing. The local people, I've been sitting in looking at these maps. I've been sitting with them. They've been calling me if there's things they need fixed, and we've been trying to get them fixed. And a lot of the problems we've got solved. I mean, we have to break down those barriers. And Donna's going to have to travel with me, but she'll also leave a card with her contact information and the senators. I think we've split this up. I think Senator Ernst or else her staff is down in Sydney, and that's where we're going to go now. I don't know if she'll have time to come back up here because we're trying to take care of both of these were scheduled at once. So you guys all hang in there and keep up the hope and the faith. These guys are trying really, really hard to fix it, okay?
I know it's hard because he's leaving and you have questions. But we will have the number and we will definitely connect you if you have specific questions that he can be helpful on. Thank you.
They got my cards out there too.
Perfect. Next on the list, if we could have Carol Vinton with Mills County Board of Supervisors for just a short statement.
Well, as you can tell that as county supervisors, Lonnie and Richard and myself, endless nights, and our heart is with you. This is a disaster, not only for your livelihood, for agriculture, it is for the county. We are having endless meetings of how we can make it better for you. So we are making some different arrangements for taxes. We're making some different arrangements for if we can change water. Sky's the limit. It's like, we don't know if it's going to work, but we got to try it. And we got to try it for you guys because we are in here for you. So it's pretty eye-awakening, and I think you guys, at least we're letting our legislator know these levees were our livelihood. And I was just out to D.C. 2 weeks ago just talking to the senators and our congressman saying, we have some economic development, and we would have signed Tuesday, and it would have been fabulous. And I said, we need to work on those levees. We got to have protection. But it was a little too late. So we are going to get there, and we will be stronger, and it will come. Believe you me, us three, we're not quitting. We're for you. We're not quitting. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Anybody? There you go.
Thanks, Carol.
I'll probably be the shortest speaker on the program, but that could be two ways, but I'm here on behalf of the Department of Human Services. I keep close contact with the Resource Center up here. We had the water problem, and our immediate thought was, okay, how do we take care of the clients? So they more or less moved 85 of them to Woodward. I got a lot of phone calls from parents, guardians, what's going on, what's going to take place. I have been called by the Department of Human Services, Jerry Foxhoven. He guaranteed me they will all be back by no later than Wednesday of this week. And there is no future of closing the facility. He says, I want to make you, he says, Richard, you make sure you make that clear. There's no indication of closing the facility because he feels it's important for the community, for jobs that people work there that live in Pacific Junction and around. So that's my statement. We are working hard. Every day things change, and it's tough to keep up with some of them, but we have some of the greatest people here, some of the greatest volunteers in Southwest Iowa. It's unbelievable who comes out of the woodwork and wants to help, where water has come from and other products. So we want to thank you all for bearing with us, and we will get through this.
All right. Next, we have a representative from the city of Pacific Junction. Is the Mayor Pro Tem here, or Karina? Come on down, Karina. I just wanted you guys to have a minute to hear from Karina about what PJ is trying to work on.
I didn't know I was going to have to do this. I'm going to try to do this without crying. If you don't know, I'm set up at the Glenwood City Hall, and you can call there at 527-4717, and please give me your contact information so that we can contact you when we really need to for some important thing, and also just to know where you're at and how you're doing. I don't know what else to say. Our little town is very prideful, and there's a lot of us that have generations there from 96 years old on down, multi-generations, and I hope we get through this and we don't lose our little town. Thank you, guys.
If we could have a representative from the Glenwood, City of Glenwood, Ron Cohn. He's sprinting. Don't sprint, I'll bring it to you.
Okay. Well, on behalf of the City of Glenwood, we're very happy that we can help in so many ways. We know it's going to be a challenge, but the volunteers that you've seen over the last week or so, we're going to be here for a long time, and we hope that you'll be here for a long time. We want to especially thank the Pacific Junction Fire Department for their help in the water situation that we had here in town. They're working very hard on that. And so I think that would be the next thing. The volunteers are going to be here. There's a variety of places. Keep checking with Sherry and her group for that type of thing. I know the high school kids have worked hard to get some of these things together too. So it's something we'll work on, and our children will remember our work.
Sheriff Goose, are you still here? Ah, there you are. I know y'all have concerns about security. Your homes and your belongings are out there, so.
Good afternoon. Basically, as this water leaves, our job is going to get extremely tough. I've been in contact with the State Patrol, and they're all ready to come down and help us. We just got to get the water out of here, and so they can get around, so law enforcement can get around, and keep the looters, if you want to call them, thieves, out of there. And they'll have big teams that come down, and it'll be a 24/7 operation. It'll be similar to the flood of 11, except at that time my deputies were working the 12-hour shifts and doing it. And then right now, that's about all I got.
Thanks, Gene. We know that this disastrous flooding and I know all of you people here are people who have been flood affected, and we know it affects your homes, your businesses. There are people who work in your communities, and we are focused, and we understand that you are our priority. One of the side effects of this has been problems with the Glenwood Municipal Utilities water. So I'd just like to take a brief moment to update on what's going on with that. Lonnie Mayberry.
As many of you know, our water treatment center is on the easterly side of PJ, and when the water came up, we did lose power and access to our plant. So within 24 hours, we started trucking water. We're trucking about 230 to 280,000 gallons a day. That is just barely keeping up with the usage that we're getting, so I can't stress enough, use as little water as possible. That way we can help our friends from PJ out. But I do want to thank the PJ Fire Department again. They've been a great help. What we're doing is we're bringing tanker trucks into town over in the Glenbrook area. Please don't go look at it. It's pretty tight up there, but we're bringing tanker trucks in. We had a fire truck there. Glenwood was running their truck, and we ended up burning a pump up on the Glenwood fire truck. So PJ's, they immediately stepped in, and I took over for us. So they've been a great help. If we do run out of water, yes, thank you. If this process does break down in any way, we have about a day and a half worth of water left. So we just need to keep it up, and I keep praying. We are looking for other options to get water into our system to relieve some of this cost. It's running about $15,000 a day, just roughly. So it's getting expensive, but everybody needs to keep water so we can help everybody out. So try to conserve as much as you can, please. Thank you.
One other bit of information, the well itself was inundated with water, and that caused the power to be shut off. Right now, they are actively pumping water out of that area to try to speed up the process of getting that access to the well so that repairs can be made. Pumping will also then continue as we're able along toward the city of Pacific Junction. So please know that there is progress in that area. It's just a step at a time. The next person that we'd like to share a few words with you is Rachel Reyes. She is Director of the Chamber of Commerce.
Hey guys, I know that a lot of businesses have been affected by the flooding. We had a bunch of them that have been flooded out and are trying to seek other modes to operate. And then we also have some that have suspended a business for the time being just due to the water usage. If you are a small business that has been affected by this, please contact me. We do have some great resources that we're going to try to connect you with as quickly as possible, but I need to know who you are and that it doesn't matter if you are a chamber member or not. We're not going to worry about that right now. We just want to get you help as best as we can. Thanks.
I'm going to follow this up with our representative from the U.S. Small Business Administration Disaster Section, Corey Williams.
Yes, hello. My name is Corey Williams. I'm a public information officer with the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Assistance. We partner with Fema in regard to the declaration that was declared yesterday by President Trump. Now, whenever you're, as a homeowner and renter, the first step in the disaster recovery process is to make sure to register with FEMA. Now, there's two ways to register. You can go to disasterassistance.gov, or you can call the 1-800 number, which is 1-800-621-3362. Again, I cannot emphasize enough that the first step in the disaster recovery process is to register with FEMA, and you can go to disasterassistance.gov or call the 800 number, which is 800-621-3362. Now, once you register with FEMA, you may be referred to SBA. Now, a lot of people think, well, the SBA, all we do is help out businesses. However, in times of disaster, we actually help out homeowners, renters, businesses, and nonprofits. We offer low-interest disaster assistance loans for business owners for not only the working capital, as Rachel mentioned, to kind of sustain that business during the recovery period, but also any physical loss that the business that has suffered, real estate, or any kind of machine and equipment. Also, for our homeowners, we offer low-interest loans. Interest rates are as low as 2.063%, and you can borrow up to $200,000 to repair, replace disaster damaged real estate, and up to $40,000 to repair, replace disaster damaged personal property. Also, business owners and nonprofits can borrow up to $2 million to repair any kind of business assets, which would also include any economic injury as well. And the deadline to apply for physical damage is May 22nd. So when President Trump declared it, it actually opens up a 60-day period to apply for assistance. So, but don't wait to, especially now, the time is of the essence to go ahead and apply as soon as possible. So again, disasterassistance.gov or 800-621-3362.
Okay. The rest of this presentation is going to be geared on helping you become aware of some resources. Some are local, some are federal, some are state. So please bear with us. Everyone's going to give you a brief overview of what's available. They're going to be here for question and answer, and they'll be lingering afterwards. And they're not leaving us all alone. We're going to have continued opportunities to work with all of these folks. Next, I'd like to invite up Amy Lush. She's with West Central Community Action. This is the group that helps us sign up for individual assistance and disaster management.
Hi. Tracy Anderson is the outreach worker for Mills County, but she couldn't be here today, so they sent me up from Harrison County. And yes, we were doing the Iowa Individual Assistance Grant, but once President Trump declared for FEMA yesterday, that will take the lead. So if you have completed an application for the Iowa grant, we will put those through, but if it wasn't completed, you need to do the disasterassistance.gov or the phone number he gave you. There's also a TTY number. If anybody needs that, it is 800-462-7585. 800-462-7585. That's the disaster assistance, the FEMA for the TTY, for the hearing impaired. 1-800-462-7585. That's for the hearing impaired. The numbers that Corey gave you, that was the regular number. It's disasterassistance.gov or 800-621-3362. So the West Central office in Malvern we won't be doing the grants anymore, but we will be a point for case management. If you want 1 point, you can apply for that, and there's no income limits on that. She also has the clothing room and the food pantry there. But she's only...
Could you explain just a little bit what case management means? What would that give them?
It's just like the point person to help you with just one place you can go that you can have access to all the different resources, and we can help you muddle through all the different things that you're going to encounter. But the Mills County office is only open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And Tuesday and Thursday, she's in the Fremont County office. So, but her number is, in Mills County, it's 712-624-8172. And she's at 313 Main Street in Malvern. I'm not a public speaker, I'm sorry. 712-624-8172. It's 313 Main Street in Malvern. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 to 4:30. Tracy Anderson.
We really appreciate you coming down from Harrison County to help us out today. Thank you. So just to kind of review that briefly, West Central Community Action is no longer able to help with the individual assistance piece because of the FEMA declaration. But what they can continue to help you with is disaster case management. And that is a resource for you that can kind of help pull all this together and help you muddle through this process. So those numbers are available. There was a handout sheet out front. We've gone to print more, and we'll be sure to hopefully get one of those in each of your hands before you leave today. Doug Reed has been helping. He's the emergency manager out of Pottawatomie County. And when crisis strikes, his county is affected as well, but we've had great help from our partners nearby. Doug's going to update you on the FEMA process a little bit.
Good afternoon. I was asked by Larry to kind of talk about the FEMA disaster declaration that was issued by President Trump yesterday and kind of what that means for the county, what it means for you if you've been affected. It's kind of a lot at times when this first starts. It's a lot from, like trying to drink water out of a fire hose. And so there's going to be a lot of information thrown out at you today, a lot of phone numbers. I promise for those that can't hear very well in the back, I'm not going to give any phone numbers to you. But I will tell you, you can go to the county website, specifically the Emergency Management Agency page, and all these agencies that have resources that you could potentially use are listed on the same sheet that you'll be getting from Sherry. Yep, there's a specific 2019 flood page on there. I believe it's on the over toward the top right-hand side of their page, and it's very well put together, and it has all the information that you'll need for assistance resources. So please check that out, and if you don't have access, of course, they'll have some handouts here too. So the Presidential Disaster Declaration is broken up into two main parts, and it can be kind of confusing when you hear the media talking about it because there's the public assistance side of the declaration and there's the individual assistance side. Now, I've often thought myself, for government entities, certain nonprofits, why do we call it public assistance when you, the public, isn't getting direct assistance from that program? So please understand that the public assistance side addresses issues and cost recovery programs for governments, certain non-governmental organizations that qualify, and those things. So if you hear public assistance, it's not for individual households. That program is FEMA's individual assistance program. And that's what Corey from SBA told us, gave you the number to make sure you call that FEMA 800 number to get registered. If you do have access to a computer, you can also go to that website, and all that information's out there for you to be able to get registered. Please do not delay. Okay? So on the FEMA individual assistance program, unlike the one we've kind of talked about, the state assistance program, FEMA's is not a household income-based program. Okay, they really look at non-insurance, underinsured, and kind of what that status is. And then based on that criteria and how your residential property was affected, will determine what level of assistance that they can provide. So it's not like Iowa's program where you have to be at about, I believe it's 200% of the federal poverty level, and then it's up to a $5,000 grant for certain qualifying items. FEMA's does not have that requirement. They look at insurance status and things like that based on the incident. So please do not delay in getting registered for that. And one of the reasons to do that is in every federal program, especially disaster assistance-wise, there's certain criteria states and counties have to meet to get different parts of programs turned on, if you will. So along with what Corey from SBA told you, go to FEMA, get registered, do it quickly because you got 60 days. There's also another place that we need you to just register your damage, and it takes about 5-10 minutes at most, and you can also find it on that website with the county that I told you, and that's just to declare that you had damages so we know where you're at and how you were affected. Because the next part of the process in getting you help is FEMA will come into town, and a team will be assembled between local jurisdictions, the Emergency Management Agency, representatives from FEMA, representatives from the Small Business Administration, and we'll start going out to validate damage assessments. And this is an important part of the process to make sure that we can get you the assistance that you need and that you qualify for under these programs. So without knowing who exactly does have damage and those locations, it slows the process down just a little bit. And I've been in emergency management for 15 years. I have worked 10 federal emergency or major disaster declaration. And in the last 15 years, I can tell you this is the first time I have seen such bipartisan, assistance to get these programs turned on this fast. Iowa's governor made the request, can't remember exactly which day, because just like you, all of our days are running together right now. But it was a 24-hour turnaround time, and that is just unheard of. So it was done, yes, and there's a lot of people coming together to try and make this happen. And the good thing is that the focus is on you, the ones that need the assistance. So in this process, we've kind of gone outside the norms to get things turned on by the president through the Robert T. Stafford Act, which is the federal law that runs these disaster programs. So there's still other parts of the puzzle we have to put together to make sure that you get what you need. So please go to the county website, register your damages there. Simple form. There's only like 5 or 6 things you got to put in there. Real quick, real simple, real easy. Then call the 1-800 number for FEMA and get registered. That's the quickest and easiest way to do it. Again, you can also do their program online if you have access. So one of the other things, the public assistance program, and why it's important to you, because everybody wants to get back into their communities or access areas like Pacific Junction and things like that. Well, we all know kind of what our smaller town budgets are in this part of the country, and these kind of things stress those budgets. There's roads that have to be dealt with There's utilities, there's all kind of infrastructure issues that cost us all as taxpayers money to keep running and move on. And these are pretty big hits to our community budgets. So the Public Assistance Program addresses those needs for local governments and other qualifying organizations. So again, we're doing the same process as we'll do with the residential side of the house. We go out when the water allows us to, when some of the hazards are gone that prevent us from going out right now, and inspect these areas and do damage assessments on public infrastructure and those kind of issues. And that's important because the sooner we get qualified for the different categories under that program, the sooner our communities can start restoring to safe measures that infrastructure, which means we can get you back to your homes quicker. So again, we'll be out working diligently doing that, and we just need you to do your part in helping us help you by getting registered in those two places as soon as you get a chance. County website, report your damages, take you 5 minutes, and then call FEMA and get registered. And all the numbers are on the website, or we'll have handouts that have that information. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so the question was, still got water in our house or in areas we can't get to it, how do we go in and assess those damages and let you know? So the good news is yes, you can go ahead because hey, water's been up to my roof and it's been there for a few days. This isn't a real technical process on your end for doing this. It's a name, it's a good contact number, your address, kind of briefly in 1 or 2 sentences what happened. If you already have a picture of the place or something like that, you can even attach a couple of those on there too, but not necessary if you don't. So what we do when we'll go out ahead typically, hopefully, of FEMA to get a little more information when we know where all the damages are, depending on what FEMA's schedule is going to be. But we will go out when FEMA, SBA, and the state of Iowa officials get here to do these damage assessments. And we'll do the more in-depth, by their categories and program requirements. Nothing you need to try and figure out. We just need to know, it's me, here's my number, here's my house, had, water 3 foot in my first floor, kind of a deal. Okay?
I know y'all have a lot of questions, and in the essence of keeping moving on the presentation, we're going to not let Doug go away, and your questions are important. So at the end of this, please, we'll shoot them then. Thank you, Doug. We know we have some veterans in this area that have been flood affected. Melissa Gray with Mills County Veterans Affairs just has a brief couple of instructions for you.
Okay, so tomorrow is going to be our big day. We have got the Vet Center, the Victory Village folks. We've got a call in. We're hoping that the VA outreach team will be coming in. They're going to be at my office, which is no longer up on the hill, if some of you guys probably do not know that yet. We are now located at 602 South Locust Street, which is right across the street from the new Casey's. This team will be coming in somewhere around 9:30 tomorrow, and they will be here through early afternoon at least, or until the last person leaves. We have got some folks from the regional office who will be supporting us tomorrow as well. We understand that some of you guys have had to leave your houses without, we've had durable medical equipment issues this week. This past week. We know some of you guys may have had to leave without medications, without your DD-214s. We know that there's paperwork that was left behind, benefits letters that you will need for grants that you're applying for. Please come to my office. We are getting those expedited tomorrow. This team will be coming in as we need them, so please communicate with us. Let us know if you're not able to come tomorrow, and we will be getting those folks coming through here. We do have some additional grants and stuff that are available for veterans. Some of them are you have to belong to that veteran service organization, like the American Legion National Emergency Fund. We will have those applications in my office. We will be helping fill those out. The Iowa Trust Fund is offering transitional housing grants in the amount of $1,000 if you qualify. Also, we've been in contact. We know some of you guys have the Heroes with Hearing Loss phones. Those phones will be replaced in this instance. So you have to communicate with me. We do have expedite on getting those shipped out. Those can be shipped to my office or wherever you may be staying. So please reach out. Let us know. And then also, those of you who are on Facebook, we do have a Mills County, Iowa Veterans Affairs, all spelled out, Facebook page. Please get on there. We are loading information as we can get it. Keep in mind, my office is a small office. I'm full-time. I've got a part-time assistant. We are trying to help you guys as best as we can. So please let us know what you guys need. We are here to help.
Thank you, Melissa. I have to refer to my list so I don't miss anybody. The folks that are here, we have some great support from the Salvation Army. Michaela Lent is here today. She's waving from the side over here. Do you want to tell us briefly what you're doing? Okay. Yeah.
So yesterday I told some of you that my head honcho would be here, but she's in Fremont County because they had their meeting at the exact same time. Oh, we work together great. So what the Salvation Army is doing right now is making sure that you guys are comfortable for the right now, making sure you have blankets, pillows, water, clothing, shelter, stuff like that. We are working very closely with the emergency management team. We're working on getting gift cards. Those are being told, we're being told that we're getting them on Monday, as early as Monday. But since they were going to give us Lowe's gift cards, but that's not very helpful because there's not a Lowe's near here. So we're like, that does not help very much. And so they're going to try to get us some Menards gift cards to assist you guys. It's not going to be $10, it's not going to be $500. I don't know where that started. It's not going to be $500, but it is going to be something to get you started. We're also working on getting gas cards because a lot of you are driving more than you had ever planned on at this point in time. Many of you are having to drive significant amounts of time to get your children to school through back roads because the main roads aren't open right now. And we're really trying in that sense. When the flooding goes down, we will be issuing flood kits. My boss wanted me to assure you that we are not going anywhere. This is long term. We will be with you long term. We will be there every step of the way with you. We're working on getting flood kits. All the rest of the flood kits went to Fremont because they're coming out of water, Fremont, Nebraska. So we're ordering thousands of flood kits right now so that we can start the cleanup process when the water does go down.
Also, just to let you know, a representative from the Salvation Army is going to be spending some time at the YMCA at the flood center there. So there'll be an opportunity after for questions as well. We have, I got to get my names right here, wait. Gail Palmer. Gail is local. She's our Red Cross rep.
Good afternoon. Like she said, I'm Gail Palmer. I'm a disaster volunteer with the American Red Cross. I'm local. I live just north of Tabor. So this is hitting home for me too. My husband works at a business that's right on the corner of 34 and 29. And they've been shut down for the last week and a half. So I get it. I just want to let you know that we are actively sheltering at this time. If you need somewhere to stay, we have a shelter open in Council Bluffs. It's probably going to be your closest one. It's at Salem Methodist Church at 14955 Somerset in Council Bluffs. We are going to be here long term. We're just starting this to get, we've been going for I wrote in my book, it's day 12 for me now. So we're going to be here long term. We've been working on this. I've literally been home 5 hours in the last 12 days. I'm working out of Lincoln because we're also doing Nebraska. We've got Nebraska and Southwest Iowa here. So we're working on trying to get you all the resources that you need. We can't fix everything, but we're here to help you find the resources that can help fix things. So like I said, if you need shelter, That's what we're actively doing right now. We've got, between Nebraska and Iowa, I think we've got 8 or 9 shelters open at the moment. Throughout this whole disaster, we've had up to 30 shelters open. So it's been busy for us, and we're going to be here long term. We're going to help you get what you need.
Okay. As a public health rep, I just wanted to briefly touch. I've gotten some calls about, do I need to get a tetanus shot? Do I need to access that right away? Are you going to have them for free? The guidance right now says that if you have had a tetanus shot within the last 10 years, they last you 10 years. If it's been 10 years, then yeah, you do need to get a booster. So we're looking into opportunities to help you with that, but we used to just say, wow, there's flood waters, come on in, we're going to give you a booster. That whole perspective has changed. So we'll be putting information up on the emergency management Facebook page and on the public health site when and if those become available. I wanted to be sure to let you know that we have a representative here. Corey Gaston is here from the Mills County Engineers Department, so he'll be available for questions. Wave over there, Corey. He's coming around the corner. We also have Jeannie Stoops from Hooves and Paws. We've been working actively with, she's waving. Jeannie has been outstanding in helping us with our issues with pets and animals. We've also been working with Muddy Paws Rescue, and they kind of work together there and have been great help. So they're not going anywhere. They're staying with us, and we do appreciate their assistance. Yes. You'll have to excuse me just a second. I am checking my list. I would like to thank Roseanne Schwartz. She is our American Sign Language interpreter here today. KJAN is also live streaming this meeting, so those folks that couldn't be here will have access to it in that way. I would like to invite Sherry Ford. She is the director of Mills County ISU Extension and an active team player on our Coordination Flood Committee. I'm off on the name of that, Sherry, so fix that for me, will you?
We're just kind of making something up at this point in time. We are the Flood Relief Resource Coordination Team, and first of all, we want to let you know that our hearts go out to you because there's nothing that could be worse than losing your homes or dealing with this right now, your total loss. So first thing we want to tell you that we do have counselors lined up to come to talk to you, and we know that people are at their threshold of patience and trying to make things work. And just know that there's a whole team behind you who is trying to help you in this situation. And we don't have all the answers, but we're really working hard. So I just want to let you know who the heads of those teams are. And you did receive a sheet that has their numbers on them. If you didn't, I think some more of those were coming, right, Sherry? To make sure that everybody had that. But most of you understand already that the YMCA is now the place where you can go to get all of your resources and get the latest updates on what's going on. I want to thank the Methodist Church and Monica Mayberry for all of their work they did immediately and setting up a meal site for you. So that was very generous on their part. So Monica's a big part of that team as well. So she's in charge of the meal prep. And like I said, all of that is going to continue to happen at the YMCA. Please make that your headquarters. When you need to get some information, go there. Go to the Chamber Facebook page because Rachel Reyes is making sure that everything is up to date. We want you to Facebook is a great thing, but a lot of misinformation can be put out there, so please go to the emergency management page, the flood page, go to the chamber. Those are going to be your two best places to get accurate information. Also, Rachel, you've already met her. Corey Kinkle is here, I believe, somewhere. I would like you to be able to put a face with the people who are helping you. She is very active with the food pantry and being able to get some of those donations. Sandy Winton is with Housing, and Sandy is going to actually talk to you just a couple of minutes, because I know the Red Cross has a shelter right now, or that's one option for you. It seems like most of you have found temporary housing, but as you heard, it is probably going to be very long-term, and only so many of you are able to live with your extra families for a very, very long time. We know that that can causes tension for both sides. And then Jenny Kirsch is working on the water logistics. Unfortunately, the water is a huge issue, and I don't know where, Jenny's standing over in the corner over there. And Ann Smith is answering all the calls, Ann, stand up so they can put a face with you, for the hotline, and trying to direct you to the resources the best that she can as well. I had a couple of other things I wanted to make sure I said. The gym is going to be open late today. There are lots of donations there. They're going to stay open late, so please go there and get some of those resources. We are probably bursting at the seams with donations, so even though that's a fabulous thing, we do want those donations to continue to come in. The logistics of it can be difficult, so please be patient with us. And I just want to tell you again that we are so sorry for your losses. This team and the whole community is really coming out and supporting you. That doesn't take away your pain, but just know that they are there and we are here for you.
I just have a couple of things I want to follow up here with Sherry. The meals have been provided by Monica Mayberry and her team of volunteers, and they have been rocking it. Absolutely. And the churches in our community have stepped up. And right now, Monica has the giant job. I'm sending her all of those great offers. We've had offers from restaurants that want to help. We've had people who want to provide food and frozen meat, and we have Red Cross over here and Salvation Army who also want to help. But right now, Monica's leading the charge in the food area. We are still relying on volunteers, and yeah, step out. We want to see you. She's upright. Look at her. So I just want you all to know that volunteerism piece has not stopped, and nor is it going to. These folks over here with Salvation Army and Red Cross are here to support your work. So Monica will wave her flag when she needs help from Salvation Army or from Red Cross, and they will graciously assist us. But in the meantime, don't stop feeding that train she's got going over there. So she'll let us know when she's ready for a change.
Also, make sure you contact us and be at the Y. Will help you figure out. We realize you don't have access to computers to go online and register for FEMA. So make sure the library is willing to be open. In fact, I think they're open till 4 today to help register people. I know there's not going to be a lot of time after this meeting, but then they have the regular hours as well. And I assume there'll be other people that will offer their computer and internet services.
Yeah, the Malvern Library is also available their regular hours. And we do have 2 computers and a printer at the Y. Are we on internet there? Yeah, so there's access there as well. City Hall. Okay, City Hall here in Glenwood will give them access. We'd like Sandy to share. Sandy's been working really hard to ferret out housing and match up people.
Thank you. My name is Sandy Winton, and I am helping out Mills County Public Health trying to find you housing. It's a little bit of a difficult task, as you can imagine. We do have some options. I do have I have a couple houses, some apartments, other type of housing shelter. So please call me. My number is toward the bottom on this sheet. And if you have a pen, please write down this other number I want to give you. I have someone helping me out that works directly for Mills County Public Health. Her name is Melody Ragland. It's Ragland. Her number is 712-527-0012. If you cannot get a hold of me, please call Melody, or you can also call Mills County Public Health and they can get you to her or to me. If you need assistance finding houses, I will try my best. My family and I was in the flood of '93 in Missouri, so This all is very near and dear to my heart, and each and every one of you matter. So please call if you need assistance. If you have housing that you can offer to me to give to somebody, whether it's here or another town, please call for that reason as well. Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot a very important person, Lori Smithers, stand up, because she is coordinating the volunteers. And Rachel, talk about the water real quickly. So please, if you have volunteers, please contact Lori.
Okay, we know that there is a water restriction right now and a boil order. Please make sure that all your neighbors know about it. But then also that MUD has graciously sent out a water tanker to be stationed down at the YMCA from, I believe, noon to 7 pretty much every day. Please go down there and fill your gallon jugs, whatever you have, so that people can, that way you have it. And it's drinkable, usable water already. So any other questions, please contact Jenny Kirsch, because that's not my shtick. Thanks.
Okay, one other thing. Ann Smith is the face of the other end of the hotline. Now, if you call that number and you say nobody answers that phone, it's because Ann's on the phone talking to someone else who's in need. Every call will be returned. So please don't just hang up. Please leave a message and make sure that Ann has an opportunity to return that call to you. Jenny, do you have anything you want to share with the group? This is Jenny Kirsch, the Queen of Water.
Hold, please. So Lori Smithers would like me to tell you that we are working on the volunteer piece. So we know some of you, even though you're displaced or are affected by this, you want to help out. So we're working on that. If you want to volunteer, or any of you that are not displaced want to volunteer, please show up at the Y and talk to us, and we will get you something to do. Okay, so water really quickly. I just wanted to update you. We have kind of two pockets of water. We have a water system for the school. So the Frank at the bus barn, we are stockpiling water bottles at the bus barn. I cannot tell you how many he has, but a lot. So they are servicing the school for the kids, and they're restocking every day. I am working with the city piece of it. We are using Al Hughes building, and the building is completely full of bottled water. So we have, let me look at my notes, 200 pallets of bottled water down there. We also, again, as Rachel pointed out, we need to use the water out of the tanker, because MUD has graciously donated that. Please come down and fill your buckets up, 5-gallon buckets, whatever you have, so we can use that and use that first. They're sitting there every day from noon to 7. Let's see. The reason I'm pointing that out is because they've been there, and we know you guys have been busy, but we've only used a fraction of what's in those tankers every day, and we want them to come back. I think that is all. Anything I can do for you, you have my number, and I will see you later.
Okay, we're trying to wind up, but we obviously have important things to share, so we're not going away.
Now that you have all those water bottles laying around the house, the city of Glenwood does have a recycling location, which is across from City Hall. And so there's a dumpster located there. You can get them out of your way and not put them in the landfill. So keep that in mind.
The other thing I'd like to point out to you is that we've told you we have a volunteer coordinator and we have a housing coordinator, and these folks are trying to get volunteers to help the folks that need it and to help folks who need housing obtain it. But they can't do it without the rest of us. We may know of places that someone could use for housing. We may be willing to volunteer. So now's the time to step up. Maybe you don't need housing, but you know someone who has housing available. Sandy's the housing queen and needs to hear from you. Over here, Lori needs to have that information from you if you're willing to volunteer. I'm going to turn this over to Larry for just a few minutes because we are coming on question and answer time, and I know you guys are anxious to get to that. So,
For those of you who know me or still here, you know a couple minutes is not my forte, but she's here as the time clock. I want to just summarize a little bit. You know, Representative Zeke did talk about some delegations we had here from the governor, head of Homeland Security, Senator Ernst, Senator Askeny, and all their staffs from Grassley was here. So the message was clear, as Dave probably told you, to Washington, to the state of Iowa, that we need this fixed. Okay, we need to fix the core, we need help. It's just not like Mills County. I think there's, 70-some or counties in Iowa that are affected by this, and the proclamations will be coming in. For you to do your assessments, we want, as was mentioned, we want you to register, but really to know what your loss is going to be tougher. So as you are given access to that, we'll get that. I also want to say, we seem to be, some of my discussion was, you might take, as I was talking about Pacific Junction only. I wasn't talking about Pacific Junction only, because I've been north in the county, south in the county before this onset of this flood, and I was talking to a lot of you out there, and again, the levee and districts, they're just affected. We had houses north-south, water at the soffits and above. Pacific Junction, 99% at the first floor, soffits, water and above. You've seen the videos. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a major issue. We did had to rapidly send a declaration in. I think we had over 340, 350 that we knew from drone flights that were majors to destroy. That's as far as water damage. We had to report that. That was a big threshold for the state of Iowa to help get that presidential press down here. And then the roads department, the infrastructure, water over everything. The engineer really couldn't assess that. The levee districts, the drainage districts, I could do the levee districts because they weren't there, a lot of them. But the state did assess that with the Corps, and that was in the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. There's been discussions of $1 billion discussed up and down the corridor, and the Corps is going to have to discuss that with the federal government and what they're going to do to give us a protective measure as we rebuild. We just got a report, and I'm going to let you know, because remember I told you about the anhydrous. We just flew a drone in the last half hour out on 34 near Love's and the BP station, and I have a report and actual drone footage that right there between the BP and Love's, that Highway 34 is undermined heavily, real heavily. We don't think DOT may or may not know about it. So we sent a report to the state of Iowa, Homeland Security at the State Emergency Operations Center and DOT to get their eyes on that roadway, because we're going to need to secure that place in case somebody tries to drive over it with something heavy. It is undermined. We have a lot of north-south water. I'm guessing it could be totally undermined. If somebody puts some heavy equipment on there, it could probably collapse. That we just found out. We didn't know about it till the water got off of it. So we're going to see more of that probably in our roadways, I'm guessing.
Thank you, Larry. We have 2 women volunteers who are going to carry mics around. Your questions are important, and we'd love for you to raise your hand, and the gals will pick you up on the mic, and we will get your expert person. First question.
They talked earlier about putting a post in your house when you go back in, or whatever. Can you not go back into your house until that is posted?
Yes, we have to, I told the architect of the state and the task force down, part of our entry plan is they have to go in first to make sure the homes are safe for them.
How are you gonna get closure?
No, once the water is down, once the water is off the streets and we clear the debris out of your city, say PJ or the county, then the inspector will go in and make sure the structure is safe within it. And as we're doing that process, we're going to set you up on re-entry. We have a plan, we've got a draft, and we're going to be setting up re-entry up. We have to make sure it's safe. And then we have to control who's going in with you. If you have friends and families going in with you, we're probably going to credential them also to go with you, so we don't have thieves going in there and sneaking in, stealing your property. So we do have a plan, but we have to do that safety inspection first to make sure it's safe for you, so you don't have a work for some failure, and then it becomes a rescue operation.
back in 2011, when you guys put the berm around the water treatment plant, then a couple years, huh? Yeah, where is it?
Where is the berm?
Exactly. And I got another question after that. I know on the east side of Pacific Junction goes underneath the railroad tracks. As soon as railroad had raised the tracks up, that tube is blocked that runs north and south, that feeds the south way to the pumps outside of town. And I don't know if that's ever been solved or not. I know I used to work for City of Pacific Junction, and Andy told me to run down to the very end and see if the plug was the tube was plugged. There it is. It's plugged.
To answer your first question, on the berm, we put around the water plant as a protective measure, emergency protective measure. Let's remember that term. It was put in there as emergency protection measure. After the presidential declaration occurred, the limited utilities claimed that expense to build that berm. And it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. If utilities were here, they might confirm that. But when FEMA came in, and then the claim that reimbursement back from FEMA by federal law, it's an emergency protection, key word here, they had to tear it down. This happened in Fremont County. They built a levee-type berm to protect Hamburg. When they came in to claim that expense for building that, FEMA said that's emergency protection category, by definition of federal law. You got to tear it down if you want us to pay you for that installation or protection. That's what happened. I don't get it. I think it's wrong, but that's the bottom line. Now in the railheads, the drainage, we have been checking some of the corridor drainage, especially over by the water plant, because we're actually pumping over the K Creek right now with the contractors donating their time, equipment, and expense. And now the railroad's down there putting massive pumps in also as we speak to expedite getting the water plant cleared, which will get the water plant cleared, then DOT because of elevations, and then it'll start at Pacific Junction. Your pumps, some of them are exposed, but we don't know the operation of them. Some of them are not. So we got to get the water off of them. And remember, consider Pacific Junction right now because of your berm, the levee, the Pony Creek, and then the natural berms you've had over the years to protect you. You're like a fishbowl in New Orleans. We got to get the water out. And so we can get the roads cleared and get you back in your home. So basically, that's going to have to be addressed the railroad, and whatever we can do ourselves, in the county and state, to get those cleared. We may be punching through a few to go under the railroad.
In the back. Next question.
I have two questions for the FEMA loan. Is the VA loan
Lower interest than the FEMA loan? And now I forgot the second question. I've been waiting for so long, I forgot.
Okay, so you're a homeowner or renter as far as that?
I'm a homeowner.
Okay. The SBA loan is probably going to be more flexible than the VA loan. And I will tell you that our interest rate is as low as 2.063, and it's a 5-month deferment, which, these are your federal taxpayer dollars at work. So that's why I emphasize that it may be, I don't want to speak on behalf of whatever veteran loan there may be in place, but these are your federal taxpayer dollars, and the repayment period is up to 30 years for repayment. So we try to make sure that there's, low payment over the 30-year period, but there is no prepayment penalty. Now, for the business owners, the interest rates are as low as 4%. Again, it's that same 5-month deferment on the loan. But the business owners can go up to $2 million, and homeowners can go up to $200,000 for repair replacement of their real estate, and up to $40,000 to repair replace personal property. Exactly.
My other question was, is there an income limit on the FEMA loans?
There is an SBA loan. FEMA does the grant assistance, and SBA will do loans. So again, you always want to register with FEMA first, because the one thing we always want to make sure is that if there's a grant available, we want you to get the grant. You don't have to, if you're approved for the SBA loan, you're under no obligation to take the loan, but we do encourage you to apply for the loan, and have it in place just in case you may want it.
This mic is not streaming, so folks who want to answer aren't going to get it from this one. So, can you ask me your question? answered on
When
this
they
one.
let us in when the water's down, that's all well and good, but then probably secondary flooding we're gonna be working on from up north, then when does the rebuild or the clearing out begin? So,
Who would like to answer that question?
I'll answer the question because I'm not from in town, so. Because it's a good question. I'll repeat it correct me if I don't get it all. The question was, as we start to get, or the water goes down and we can get into our homes or into our communities, but there's a potential for any of the secondary flooding to happen, what's the time frame of actually being able to do some restoration or rebuilding? And so the out-of-towner is going to stand up and say there's no real good answer that we can give you to that question right now. All that we know is that we have snow melt that still has to happen below the reservoir system in South Dakota that will impact the levels on the Missouri River. We know as snowfall higher up in the mountains comes into the reservoir system that they will have to open up the reservoir system to let water out because that's what they do. So those key things, plus us coming into spring and our wetter part of the year, we're going to have to watch those things very, very close. And the only good answer that I can provide on that topic is that we will be watching it close, and communication is going to have to be, very clear, open, and frequent. So with the county having a flood-specific page, with media releases coming out, do not fall into a trap that can happen when we go through disasters, which is you get immune or desensitized to, oh, there's another media release coming out, oh, there's something else that popped up on Facebook, or things like that. We're all going to have to be engaged together to watch this issue as we move forward. I wish I could tell you, by May whatever, this is the date and we'll be safe thereafter, but nobody's really in a position to be able to do that when we're talking about the nation.
All right, next, do you have one, Sherry?
So once you register with FEMA, we don't want you to get in any position where you fall or get a default on your mortgage. Now, one of the things that I would recommend is go ahead and call your mortgage company immediately, as well as when you register with FEMA. Let them know that you've been impacted by the flooding and that it's been declared by President Trump, and see if their department may have like a forbearance period or some kind of deferment period for your mortgage. But you'd have to call your mortgage company directly in regard to that situation.
Okay, this gentleman in the green hat has a very trembly arm at this point.
All right, well, thanks. I had a couple of questions. One, I live between Old 34 and New 34, west of I-29. So we're stuck. We've seen the levee, the pictures on the video, 4 or 5 days old. Snow melt's coming down. We talk about getting water out. What's the plans to get the water out of there so that we can check the roads and eventually get back to the house? I know time frame is, you can't pick a date. However, what tangible actions are being taken? And then the other thing is, I haven't seen anything about the National Guard. They work for the governor, right? Resources, is there a plan to temporarily emergency shore up the dikes or the levees?
Sorry to snatch that, but Larry needs it to talk to you.
I have a short memory span at my age now. And if I don't answer all your parts, please remind me. Right now, the river is still fairly high, lower 30 feet. We've seen some indications this morning that K Creek, which is the one I want to drain first, because we're pumping into it right now, is going down. That means at the head, Wayne, that it's going somewhere. I don't know the threshold of pain there, but I thought it was below 30 feet. that would start draining. It's one of our higher ones, but we have other drainage systems that will start when the river gets low enough. They'll be open the gates and get the internal water, and from the hydrology standpoint, we'll start taking water out of the soil and moving it towards the river. The river really needs to get within its banks to give us a lot of good, and we've got to get it down lower. The flood stage at the Plattsmouth gauge is 26 feet there by Riverview Estates. Now, you do the math. There's other parts of the corridor that it will go back in the channel at different elevations. The National Guard, I did test a tasking a couple weeks ago, but it was for security, help sheriff. And the state sent the state patrol down initially to help the sheriff. We think, and they got a task force, the sheriff, I don't know if he's here still, but they've got a task force he got signed up that when we start reentering before for security of your property, and that's just not Pacific Junction, that's the entire affected area, that they have a plan they're working on. I am going to go back to the state, though, State Emergency Operations Center, and I'm going to task the Guard to come down and assist with controlling entry points and things of that nature. What I was worried about is, as an afterthought, that if they had sent the Guard down to me and we started putting them at all these road closure places, it almost seemed like martial law. And and when I put the Guard down there during the floods of 11, they were out in the levees with us, assisting the levee districts on inspecting the levee, and really we had to train them 1 through 5. This is 1, I got a 1, or I got a 2, and then they indirectly were set ice for me for security. They were not armed. They did not have, that's a governor's decision how they deploy, and that's a whole different deployment. So I think you're going to see the Guard down here to help add another measure of protection to assist the Sheriff's Department as another resource with Department of Public Safety. The rest of the water, the river has to go down, number one, for noble drainage and for the drainage systems to drain out. We heard earlier that we are aggressively trying to pump to get the water department open, which means we'll start draining Pacific Junction. The railroad has brought a lot of equipment in now, besides the company. Peter Keywood is helping us. I'm going to tell you that. They probably didn't want me to tell you, I'm telling you. Peter Keywood is involved in this. They're gifted this. That's what we're doing. We're trying to get, PJ, we're going to try and get that water out as soon as possible so we can get it safe to enter so you can enter. The incorporated areas, you will drain, and we've already seen some water. You go to south off of Lambert, where 221st goes to Plattsmouth Bridge. You go down to 195th South, where Cake Creek goes through there. Wayne Stouter, his road, I think, was dry the last time I saw it on video. So we are doing drone flights. We just flew one just now. We will do as much as we can to grid and fly drones. But I'm telling you right now, for most of you, you've had water at your soffits above your roof, except for people in the exterior, north and south, that's away from the epicenter. Pacific Junction is the epicenter, but in essence, the whole friggin' county, from the Los Hills to the river, is the epicenter this time. Now, you had one other part that I forgot. Yeah, you are in the epicenter. This gentleman here in Carnes, we have water come out. He's the first one affected, Carnes Road. Trust me, he knows that. We've been through this, all the people in Carnes Road and Keene coming out. You lose Carnes right away for the bridge. That's the first thing, and then the water comes up. We know, we've had drone coverage. We're watching your location, but we got to get the river down. No, they should be on the Facebook page. Travis will take that as a tasker. If we have to repost them, we will. We had flights yesterday. We had flights the 22nd, the 21st, and the 20th, and so we'll check. If they're gone, we'll get them streaming again. How's that? Fair?
Thank you. Okay, there's a microphone here in the middle. Sherry.
Yeah, this question is for Corey up there. You had mentioned that there's a low-interest loan for either repair or replacement, and we're to go onto the website to register for that. Now, if it's 6 months before, hopefully not, but let's say it's 6 months before we can get into our property to assess the damage, to know if we need to repair or replace, how long is that active for, and do we have to re-register? Because I think you said there was a deferment of 5 months. do we have to re-register after that if it's longer than 5 months before we know the damage?
Great question. So the good thing is, once you register with FEMA, that registration is going to stay active. And the same thing for the Small Business Administration loan process. Now, in the situation where you may not have access for up to 6 months, what you can do, the good thing is by having your loan in place and you can get it approved, you can actually just wait on receiving the funds until you're actually able to go back to the property. So it's kind of more of a technical term, but it's kind of more of an extension of the loan deadline. So in that situation, whenever you get to that part, as far as the approval, the main thing to emphasize is that you do not want the funds right now, even though you've been approved for the loan, and they'll do what's called a modification to your loan to make sure it's noted that the property is inaccessible and that there's no reason to give the funds out. Now, if you need some personal property funds in that interim period to replace some of the clothing or maybe a vehicle that may have been lost, then you can get some funds for your personal property, which is up to the $40,000, and that way you can get some funds for your vehicle.
I have a question. Is there anybody from the DNR here?
Not right
Just the Corps of Engineers, correct?
No, that is the county engineer's office. We do not have DNR, they're out in the field.
If anybody can answer my question, I was told back in 2015 when they put the new 34 bridge in, that it was either the Corps of Engineers or the DNR had brought up that whole side of the river should have been addressed because it had been that way for so many years, it was deteriorated. But does anybody know anything about that? Or can they comment on that?
Can anyone comment with any founded information on that topic? If not, we can get you that information.
That's where it's coming in from the Platte into the Missouri, and that would make sense why it would need addressed, because it's been that way for years. They put the bridge in. If it was brought up by the Corps of Engineers or DNR and nobody done anything about it, who's responsible for that? I'm just curious.
Okay, I can't speak for the Corps, but I do know the M&P levee district, when they built that bridge, I do know that the M&P levee district, when they built the bridge, worked closely with the Corps and DOT, looking at the position of the levee and the placement of the bridge. That was, I remember correctly, that was affected. I do know that the M&P is a federal levee. It's one of our strongest levees in the county, the other three. There's 3 levee districts along the county line. All 3 of those levees held in 11, but this is their own event. I do know that was going on during the construction of that bridge, and the levee guys, the Mills Pipeline County Levee District was fully engaged with the Corps. Actually, the DOT had to change some things on that bridge, but I can't quote on that right now because we don't have a DOT rep here.
So is there 1 or 2 columns on that bridge that's dropped, that's going to need repaired anyway?
We don't know. When we had a meeting, I notified State Emergency Operations Center that early on the onset of the heavy water, we'd had some indications that there might be on the approach something they need to look at to that bridge, and so that's been reported to them. And just like this last slipping I talked to you down at the Lowe's, we just found it just now because the water receded a bit more, but the water is deep west of Gloves. It's still water. I thought we was going to lose some water. You go in further out there might be some roads showing up, 34, but we can't, do anything. So now we have to turn DOT on to relook at it. Now, DOT may have already been out to the bridge approach and looked at it, but I can't answer that right now. We'll have to check on it.
Thank you.
Please, I know it's frustrating when you have your hand in the air, but I have 2 microphones, and I promise we won't leave until you ask your question. The mic is back here.
Now, you talked about having engineers come out and look at our houses before we can go back in. Are you talking about doing an exterior assessment, or are you talking about actually breaking into our houses and actually doing more damage to them?
It's a structural, and if I'm going to get more information. When I get this from the state and they give the information how this is going to work, we're going to get it out to everybody, okay? The process. You will get the process, trust me. And some of you that don't have Facebook or get the web page or whatever, we're going to find a methodology to get the information. Like we'll use the media, Sherry here is PIO, we'll use radio, TV and Code Red will use it to get information to where you can go to get the information on the process they're going to exactly use. Unless Doug here knows.
We also are collecting phone numbers, names, so that we can access you.
If you're going to be breaking in and doing more damage.
No, we're not breaking into your properties. That won't be occurring. If you can, by the way, if you contact us on that flood hotline, if you haven't already, be sure and give them your name and address and phone number so that we can contact you. Okay, Ann has the mic here.
Hi, I wanted to find out, well, actually, I have two questions. First off, leading off to what the gentleman said. If you go in and you say, okay, we look at the structure, we feel that the outside is not safe, how do we get our stuff that we've lost, that we want to recover? How do we get in there then? If you tell us we can't go into our homes?
Are you hearing the question?
How do we get in there to get stuff
How do
out?
they get in there if you say their house is destroyed? How do they get their stuff out?
We're trying to get a question to state right now about how this is going to work on that question we had over there a second ago. He's on the phone with the state right now, trying to get the thing. I think what's going to happen is they can't get in there until we clear the roads and safety enter, right? And so it may be that we're going to have to contact people if they have to look inside the house. We're not going to enter houses. I'm not going to allow people to do that. But we're going to he's going to try and get an answer real quick so I can answer. If not, we'll get that to you. Yes, ma'am.
Well, and the other is, okay, with the FEMA and that. This morning I went and filed paperwork and stuff online. Well, when I went through it all and everything and set everything up, put everything through, and now online, it turned around at the very end and said, oh, gee, sorry, come back later. So now, do I have to go, do I need to call back to FEMA
This happened at 11.
call them?
This
Do I
happened at
just
11.
wait and see if it went through?
We're going to check on that. We know in 2011, there's a lot of counties, these decorations, and they got overloaded is what happened. I do know that we also opened up some case management areas, and FEMA came down, and we work with people locally. Like we set a place like at the Legion or somewhere, that people can come in and help you get that initial online thing. And we really look at doing that so we can get through the red tape, and in case it drops off, we assure that you are registered. We're going to have to look into that.
They gave me the number, the ID number and stuff like that and everything.
Well, you did get that?
Yeah, I did get that, but it's still.
She should be registered.
And then it said it's done.
Okay, if you have the ID number, then you should be registered.
Okay, now do I still need to go ahead and go over to the county side, the county website also?
The reason why, if your house is in the middle of Pacific Junction, if you do Pacific Junction, your house in Pacific Junction, I'm going to tell you, you got a lot of water around your house. You aren't going to really know, you're going to know right now that you don't know the structural integrity of your home until we get in there, number one, to advise you. But if you got personal belongings you didn't get out, you probably know what that is. So we need damage. If you're in a particular area, put it on our website, and RQ helps us if you live there. I would recommend you still go in there and just say, hey, I live here. It looks like, by what I know, my house is totally underwater, and we're going to get it.
So then you'd still be able to, with putting that on, then that'll.
It helps us collect information.
Collecting information. Okay, we've got a mic right here in the middle, and it's coming your way, folks. Don't give up.
I think everybody's really concerned about being the first one into their homes once we can re-enter. Because those few things that they can get without people stepping on it, breaking it, is very important. And this is for our protection officers that are, we've been getting, I know it's Facebook, that people can boat in on the Nebraska side or all along the hills and row in, and they are possibly rowing around our town. Are you guys out on boats protecting our town or not?
Who can answer the question about boat security?
I have no idea what.
Larry? We have a question about boat security. Can the folks from the Nebraska side boat in, and who's watching that?
Because you can get in along the hills and get in and row in. There's videos you see of people rowing around. I mean, I just want to know, are you guys out there on the water as well?
I wish I had DNR here. Brian Smith, DNR, was tasked with task force come down to his boats, but he's spread between here and Harrison County. But we've had 3 boats in around the area. He does do patrols. He does emergency response, units. He has taken some of our people out for drone. If we can't get to it from a distance, but they've been keeping an eye on it. There is no report of thefts yet, but the sheriff has said there's no known intel reports. We know from history, even in our lesser floods, like Riverview Estates, Mills Landing, and areas in there, that we have the people come across the river. Those people have to be very bold people. Because of the river flow right now and debris coming down the river, and then the rowboats, yes, let's go to Bass Pro, let's buy a boat, no motor, color oars. They've been catching people like that. We have had some stops where people will come in, wait, I gotta go to my grandma's house and get her stuff. Who's your grandma? Believe it or not, they data mined the address and their name. And so we had everybody evacuated was in our database. We called her, she's living in Omaha. We're catching people. Trust me, law enforcement is vigilant, and the sheriff has asked for additional task force people as we get closer. But remember, we're talking about a large man, and we're doing everything we can. Floods of 11, I think we had a handful of actual attempted break-ins and some minor theft. That's because we have more roadways.
Question over here?
Okay, my question, well, actually I got 3, but they're all related. The proceeds from the individual assistance, is that a loan or is that a grant? That's the first question.
That's over with now.
When we get money from their proceeds from that, can we use it as our choice to rebuild, tear down, move in, move out?
Well, once you...
The third question, on the estimate of damage, if I say we got $50 worth of damage and it turns out $200 worth of damage, and so they awarded me $50, how can we go back and get to get more compensated?
Okay, so in regard to, now, have you already registered with FEMA? Are you talking about the state program?
I'm talking about the first program, FEMA and the individual assistance. Isn't that 2 different programs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on the individual assistance, is that a grant or a small loan?
Great question. So the FEMA program is actually a grant. That's money that you do not have to pay back. The money from the U.S. Small Business Administration agency I work for.
I'm not going to get any from the small businesses.
The state, the state.
The state individual assistance program has closed now because FEMA is now the new funding stream. If you fill out an application for individual assistance, it's receipt-based. So you would have to show receipts of expenses. I paid this much to be in a hotel room. It cost me this much to rent a car. It cost me this much to buy clothing. The IA program, if you've already filed for that, you would have filed with receipts. And that program has now closed.
You mean the individual just closed?
It did through the state of Iowa because now FEMA takes over.
I'm talking about the federal?
Federal individual assistance.
Federal
Federal.
individual assistance that this
That's you.
Trump approved yesterday.
So,
Is that a loan or a grant?
great. So actually, with the FEMA program, that is a grant. That's money that you do not have to repay back. That's why we encourage you to register with FEMA first, because
You're using 2 different.
it's not, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, that is the proclamation that President Trump had on yesterday. That is a grant program.
For individuals?
For individual homeowners and renters, not business owners, but homeowners and renters such as yourself.
That's a grant. Now, then, we can apply for that also for FEMA, is that correct?
That is FEMA assistance,
And
yes.
FEMA will be a loan.
No, SBA, my agency, is a loan. That's a low-interest disaster assistance loan.
Okay. Now, on the money we receive from either FEMA then, since it's a grant, and also from individual assistance, since that's a grant, we can use it as our choice to rebuild, tear down, move.
Great question. So usually when FEMA offers a grant, they usually send a letter, what's called a determination letter. Again, I don't want to get too much into the weeds as far as the FEMA program, but whenever they actually grant you money, they'll actually have a determination letter, and they'll say, well, this money's for real estate, this money's for housing assistance, this money's for personal property. And you're supposed to spend it as it's allocated on the determination letter that FEMA will send out.
All right, Mike's over here. I don't know your arm's so tired. I'm glad you got to talk.
My question's for Corey. If I get a SMA loan, do we have to rebuild or replace in the same spot?
Great question. Now, we also offer programs for relocation. So if you did decide that you want to relocate, there are funds available for relocation assistance. But the main thing, again, you want to register with FEMA first and put in the SBA application after that. That's going to be the second step in the process. But relocation assistance is available as well as refinance in certain circumstances as well.
All right, Ian, you have the mic there.
Thank you. First of all, Monica Mayberry again. Appreciate it.
She rocks.
Awesome. And the first responders. Back in 2011, we had several days to get out. And this time around, it's for you, Larry, 195th Street, so going south about 3 miles north of the Wilds is where I'm at. And if it wasn't for people, I won't mention any names, Wayne Stouter, Chris Dashner, we probably would have grown gills before we had any notification from the Corps or from emergency management. Where'd the chain get broken on that end?
It did get broken because I got a call from Wayne Stouter and Chris Dashner. They were down there. They called me down there. I had my assistant with me in the dark of the night. They had already notified you people first. And we went back, and a couple of them re-notified. We went to the Wilds. We'd had reports of a levee breach, allegedly. And so we went down to try and find the source of that. So it was a little hectic that night. So between Wayne and Chris and us we were talking to a few of the other residents down there, we made sure we told people tonight, you need to go and find someplace to stay, wait till the daylight, and see what's going on. True, Wayne, or not true? That's exactly what happened that night. On people on the Wilds coming into the county. Paddock, we advised them, I went and talked to them, but we did not tell them to evacuate at that time. That came later. Remember, Paddock is right near north of the Lorimore Ditch, and it actually took 2 days to get that water up to the Lorimore Ditch, I believe. And Wayne was watching this. 3 o'clock in the morning, he woke me. I was in the EOC. We went down and looked at that, and it was actually south of the Lorimore Ditch, about a quarter mile where a low spot was, and that's when we know we had overtopping on the levee at that site. They didn't have eyes on the levee until earlier in the day. So this all happened, and the breaches didn't come till later, around the 18th.
So as part of obviously the aftermath, mitigation's a big topic too, so is this going to be addressed in that and have a little bit more warning next time if it should happen?
There was very little chance for warning because the snow melt, the rain, we knew we had a lot of water already, right? And then...
We had warning when it was over the levee.
Then...
It was already over.
That's because we did not know down in your neighborhood that it was accurately related to late at night. And part of that was hearsay. Wayne and Chris was on that levee, and they said it's getting ready to overtop. That's why we made the decision to notify the people in that area to leave for the night until we could get a daylight assessment. It was getting too dangerous to go in that levee north of the Wilds.
And again, I'm not personally blaming you, but further upstream, we know when there's gauges set at Rulo, Plattsmouth, all the way upstream.
Here's the issue. This question...
You've got time to notify people down there.
They're different elevations.
This question will be addressed it definitely will be addressed in the evaluation process.
Hello.
Hi.
So my question's for FEMA and for the Small Business Administration. I've done some research work, and what I'm reading is that FEMA, on an average, will give families or homeowners about $38,000 for their grant. And then you have to go to the Small Business Administration and apply for a low-interest loan. Now, my husband and I planned well ahead, planned on having our home paid off when we retired. So now are you telling us that we're going to have to refinance to rebuild?
Great question. So with FEMA, again, I don't want to speak on behalf of their program because there's going to be a representative from FEMA, but the grant amounts will vary. Now, the maximum grant is actually, I think, $34,000 for fiscal year 2019, but that is the maximum grant for an individual. So again, under the Stafford Act, that's why we partner with FEMA where there is a maximum grant that they can't make everybody whole. Their thing mainly is to make everybody safe, sanitary, secure. That's what you're going to hear quite often over these next couple of months.
So what happens with my mortgage that I have now? So I have to pay another loan to fix my house that I didn't ask to have under 8 foot of water? I'm sorry, I don't mean to get upset, but this is concerning for me. We had planned to have our home paid for, and now you're telling me I'm going to have to refinance it, and I may now have another loan that I have to pay for, that I can't afford to pay for. I can't pay for 2 loans for my home.
Well, it's a possibility. Again, once you register with FEMA, they always make sure that that's going to be your first step in the disaster recovery process, no matter what. Let's see where you are on that. Then, as far as the second step, then yes, you would go ahead and apply for the SBA loan. Now, keep in mind that this is a low-interest loan, and it is a possibility that we can refinance the current mortgage that you have right now, and so it would just be one loan, a loan to repair your home, and also a loan to actually cover the amount that you had for that your current mortgage is. But that can actually be one loan. That's why it's a refinance, potentially.
But the whole point is I was going to be paid off in 5 years, and now I'm not going to be for something that I didn't ask to happen. It's the government's fault that those levees broke. And now you're telling us that we're going to pay for this. It's not right.
And
I'm sorry.
No, and I understand.
That person.
Absolutely. The thing I want you to walk away from here understanding about the FEMA Individual Assistance Grant Program is this. Just like we mentioned when I first explained the program, this is a program that focuses on losses that are uninsured or underinsured based on the loss you have. Okay, so if my house cost, $100,000 and a tornado or a flood or whatever we dealt with wiped it out, and I didn't have insurance on it or I had very low insurance, the FEMA grant I can get is not going to build me a new $100,000 house. It's not going to replace what I had. Okay, it is going to help cover and supplement what is not covered by my insurance or if I didn't have up to their maximum allowance. Again, it's part of the federal program, and that's the best way I can explain it. It's not designed, and it doesn't get used to replace everything that is lost. It is a supplement that focuses on uninsured or underinsured losses during an event. So, I mean, I understand. I do. And if we cannot fix the federal program or the federal guidelines, we just want to make you aware of what the reality of the programs are and what they will and generally won't offer.
Folks, we're not leaving. I'm just going to say, we've been at this for 2 hours. So what we're going to take, where the mics are now, we're going to take both of those public questions. Then, my people are not leaving. Feel free to bombard them with your questions because I know several of you still have them. So I don't want you to not have an opportunity to get your question answered, but in the issue of timeliness, we are still going to let you do that, but just on a one-on-one basis, okay? So, we have a question up here.
Mine is for everyone that is going to be renting into new places, and for the people that have pets and have had their pets for many years. Surrender is not an option. It's not even on the... Understood. Has anyone talked to any of the homeowners, rental people, Jim Hughes, anyone that is willing to make some sort of accommodation for the people who have their pets, because they are displaced just as much as the homeowner, the renter, the family. Those pets are going to be an integral part of that family's recovery from this disaster. What is being done to help those families who need to have that?
I've worked for the last few days trying to find some really good affordable housing for people to go along with their pets. And I have to say that the people I've talked to that have rentals have basements that people can live in. Yesterday I placed a couple with another couple here in town. They personally don't have pets, but the people who was displaced, they did have pets, and they were welcomed with open arms. Our landlords have been so generous with typically not allowing pets. They understand right now that this is not a normal circumstance, and they have been allowing pets where normally they haven't. The landlords have been not doing contracts when typically they do, and they've been making, if they do a contract, it's a half of a contract, a lot shorter, a 6-month, and then you can go month to month. And they're also, a lot of the landlords have not been requiring a deposit, which is huge because nobody has $1,000 or $750 or whatever it happens to be right now to put down plus their first month's rent. So this whole community has come together for everyone here as much as they can. And I know I talked to a landlord in Council Bluffs just this morning, and he too is making concessions. I have a lot of 2-bedroom places right now that I hear, and I know a lot of people need more than that, but there are some options out there that does take pets, and I'm going to continue to search for more, and hopefully we can get as many of you somewhere safe really quick.
Also, as you're trying to rent, if you find a landlord that is not willing to accommodate, Sandy may be able to help. You've got her number, call her. Maybe it's a landlord she's familiar with, someone that she can contact on your behalf to help advocate for you. Do I have one more mic?
My question is on the real estate taxes, our taxes. I've paid my taxes for the full year in September. Am I going to get any relief from that?
I think that's a Board of Supervisor question. Is anybody prepared to answer, or do you need to have that information forthcoming?
We're working on that part of it.
As far as refunding, I don't know that's going to happen. We're looking into some state regulations and things. I think if you haven't paid your taxes, we'll make sure that there's no penalties or interest on them. But right now, we only have something from the state for like 30 days. So
when you pay $4,000 a year for your taxes, and then you have something like this happen, you need that other $2,000.
Right, and I understand that, and the problem is, these are a year behind, so, but that's, yeah, we're trying.
So more information to come on that. Okay, we're going to take one more, and then we're going to pull those mics back, and we'll go one-on-one. Yes?
I'm sorry, can I have just one more?
You may.
From the West Central. I've got a couple of people that I know of that have appointments with Central already for their work, their paperwork. Are they null and void now?
They can keep their appointment.
Wait, there you go. Stand on it.
They can keep their appointment if they want to do the case management piece.
Anyway.
Okay, but as far as the grant, there's...
As far as the grant, if it's not complete as of yesterday, then it's...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Hi.
Okay, I'm wondering about, like, the breaches, the broke...
The levy failures, yes.
So, does anybody have any clue how long it's going to take to fix them?
To repair the levees, that is a great question.
For people, let's say, if they can move in first, are they going to want the breaches fixed first?
We've been told, the Corps of Engineers, they're out doing soundings to see how much scouring and holes or where we have our breaches. And I do know, not in print, but they are looking to get on the levees as soon as the water is down, the river's down. And I think they're going to go, don't quote me, to a 25-year berm initially, which is not going to, if we have a deluge again, is going to protect us. That's why we got to be careful here. But they're going to go to 25-year berm, and then they're going to go from there. They are under tons of pressure from Washington, D.C., the congressional side right now. That's why when the governor came and our representatives from the federal government came, they heard it very clear. I know that Senator Ernst is very upset about this, for example, and Naskey was in here, I think, yesterday, day before, and I know the governor was also in here, and they had governor had a personal discussion with the White House. So this is, and then Vice President Pence is down here. So it's being told, you better find infusion of billions of dollars and the court get their, you-know-what over here and get us protected. I'm just telling you that we're going to do everything we can to help you, but we've got to get this water out of your town. We've got to get the water out of the unincorporated areas so you can get home. That's why we're opening up as we can.
But people won't be able to move in until these are all fixed.
No, I think we're going to have to play it by ear based on what level of protection they give us and what the threat is as we go into the spring, summer. We're going to keep you up to speed, even if we have to do another one of these, okay? To make sure that you're kept up to speed as much as possible so we can get you back in your homes.
You've already talked to me. Okay, my folks right here are not leaving, and we're closing out the microphone portion. What I want to say is thank you for taking time to spend your day with us today. I know you have 1,000 other things that are weighing heavy on your minds. Our hearts are with you. Please take advantage of the resources we have available. Don't leave if you have a question or if your question didn't get answered to your satisfaction. Step on up.